Welcome to Game Dev Hard Mode, where we pick apart video game features that should be simple but are secretly a complete pain in the ass. Damage numbers. You think every time an enemy gets hit in Void Swarm that all we need to do is spawn a text box and fill it with a number? Unfortunately, doing it that way would absolutely tank performance, and since we're building this game to run on a toaster, that's not an option for us. So what we actually have to do is form a queue of requests for damage numbers, and every hit adds a new request to the queue, and every request contains all the data that you need about where in the world the hit happened, how much damage it was worth, and the type of damage that was inflicted. And you take all that data, and 60 times a second you bundle it up into something called a buffer, and then you throw it from the CPU to the GPU, because the GPU is way better at handling tons of little tasks like drawing numbers thousands of times, and it can do that all at the same time. The GPU uses a texture that looks like this to spawn particles that just kind of look like numbers. It uses the data we give it to figure out which number to show, the colour, and where in the world to spawn it. That way we just spawn a whole bunch of number textured particles one time, rather than one number hundreds or thousands of times on the CPU. And this sounds ridiculous, but it's exactly the way that the computer prefers to work. Without doing this, our CPU would check the buffer, draw one number, then check the buffer again, write the next number, for however many times it needed to repeat it to get through the list. Your GPU splits everything into tiny work packets and then shares that around thousands of little workers who work in tandem, rather than doing each task one after the other. So what you're looking at isn't actually a number at all, it's a particle with a small section of a texture sheet sort of plastered onto the top of it. Naturally, it just gets more complicated from here. We have one more problem in Void Swarm. We downscale our entire image to give it that crunchy pixely look, and if we do that with our number particles, they're a complete mess. So what we have to do is render all of those number particles to a different camera that doesn't have the downscaling filter, and then overlay that back onto the final image to keep the numbers nice and crisp. We actually use the exact same technique all over the game for performance, so you would think that every ship has its own rocket thruster, but they're all sharing one particle system. This is just the way that the computer prefers it. Rather than drawing one thruster 1,000 times, we use the same trick to draw 1,000 thrusters one time. Almost everything you see in a finished video game is a magic trick, and it's genuinely a miracle that we get video games at all.